I'm Adam Walker, a biometrics consultant, and this is the Pharma Prescribed Podcast, where leaders, innovators, and hidden voices in healthcare open up. No sound bites, no spin, just raw insight, one prescription at a time. In an industry driven by data, protocols, and pressure, we rarely pause to ask the human questions. What drives us? What breaks us? And what truths live behind the titles we wear? Our guest today is Charbel Abdo. He was born and raised in Lebanon. Charbel brings deep-rooted expertise and a global perspective to the future of pharmaceutical care. A fully qualified pharmacist, he built his clinical foundation in Lebanon and recently earned an MSc in Pharmaceutical Sciences with distinction at the University of Greenwich. Now based in the UK, Charbel is actively seeking his first opportunity in clinical research. He has a passion for evidence-based practice and an eye for regulatory innovation. He's ready to bring analytical precision and patient-first thinking to a forward-looking clinical trials. He blends frontline experience with academic depth and is eager to step into the UK clinical research space, where he can apply scientific background and multicultural insight, making meaningful contributions to patient safety and trial excellence. Charbel, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Pharma Prescribed. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you?
Thank you. My throat is a little bit better than it was earlier on in the week, but thanks for asking. For our audience, perhaps you can tell them a little bit about yourself and perhaps how we first got to know one another through the University of Greenwich.
Yeah, as you said, my name is Charbel and I'm originally from Lebanon. Master's degree in Pharmaceutical Sciences from the University of Greenwich in the UK. My journey to becoming a pharmacist was far from easy. It demanded a lot of resilience, sacrifice, and deep inner strength. Before I start talking a bit about the past, I'd like to say how we met, me and you, because it was a bit weird, honestly. While I was at uni, I received an email about AstraZeneca having a seminar about employers networking session. I agreed to attend, but I completely forgot about it on the day. So as I was heading back to my room, I was at the accommodation. I met someone. He was not a student, not even a doctor. And he asked me if I can show him what room this is. And I didn't know. So I just told him, well, I know the building and I can help you find the room inside the building. And this is what happened. So when I went into the room, I saw a poster and with AstraZeneca logo on it. So I was like, oh, okay. I immediately remembered and I saw you standing in front of it. And I asked you if I can still join. And you said, yeah, for sure. And then I told you I want to grab a coffee. And we had a conversation. Actually, it was a great conversation about my background. And when you heard that I'm from Lebanon, you immediately started to share. And you told me that you went to Israel after graduating with your wife and had visited areas near the Lebanese border and even catching a glimpse of Lebanon. This is what you said. Yeah. So later we exchanged contact details and stayed connected. I remember very well when you introduced me to Wael. It was pretty awesome as well. So Adam gave me Wael's contact details because he was working with him on something related to COVID during that time for 2 years. We decided that me and Wael, we were in contact and we decided to have a video call. So
just before we go on to the story of Wael, I'm reminded of that conversation that you and I had at the university. Thank you for recounting that, Charbel. Wael, for our listeners, is a mutual colleague and friend of ours. So it transpired that I was working on a particular study with a guy that was also from Lebanon, but at that time, I think he was working in the Emirates and he was called Charbel. I beg your pardon, he was called Wael. And then I would like you to continue the story.
Yeah. I was going to mention that he's a senior from AstraZeneca. I was going to, when I was video calling Wael, immediately after I started to talk, he asked me, wait a second, just wait. I completely stopped. So he told me, are you from Kobayat, which is my village? And I said, yeah, why? He told me, first, your accent is familiar because he happens to be from the north, Lebanon. We speak just like Yorkshire, the UK, the accent. I told him, yeah. He told me about how. He told me, you're Abdo, and Abdo is a famous family in I know you are from there. And then he started to mention some people that he already know from Kobayat, and they happen to be my cousins and my friends. And so later on, I was telling this story to my father, and he told me, what's his name? I told him his name was Wael, and I gave him the family name as well. And he told me that his father is my friend, and they invited each other for lunch. It was outstanding, this story. This shows how the world is so small. We live in a very, very small world, honestly. So from the UK to Lebanon. So yeah.
There's a reason, as I said to you when we first got to know one another, Charbel, there was a reason why we connected in that room when I was presenting the background and my experiences of AstraZeneca to the University of Greenwich on that particular day. There is a further reason why I connected you with Wael, and the story of your resilience and your drive and determination to push through the challenges that you've experienced, both at home in Lebanon and indeed in the UK. It's not an easy world to navigate. What struck me when I first met you particularly was your expertise and the fact that you've been a fully practicing pharmacist in Lebanon, and you were coming to the UK to study a master's in pharmaceutical sciences. My immediate question to you and remains, why on earth is the UK not employing fully qualified pharmacists? Because we don't have enough fully qualified pharmacists within this country. That was my immediate question and thought back to you, wasn't it? That was exactly where we started the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. From the beginning, before I started to still in high school, I always had this love to chemistry and biology. So I was thinking, what can I do with it? And I don't know if it's always these posts in the society. You're a doctor, you're a pharmacist, you're an engineer, you're not a biology teacher. So I was like, okay, what's best from all these options for me? And I thought, pharmacy, why not? It wasn't my option, honestly. My parents were insisted at first. And I decided that I want to start learning pharmacy. So I had to leave my village and I moved to Beirut to begin my studies. I lived in a student accommodation in the early years. And during the pre-pharmacy phase, I had to maintain a GPA of 3/4 in order for me to be able to pass.
For our audience who don't understand what a GPA of 3 means, what does that mean in kind of broad parlance? What does that actually equate to?
It's just like your overall grade.
It has to be above a certain percentage.
It doesn't for most courses, but for pharmacy, it has to be a good GPA. Good GPA means you have good grades, like the overall of your grades. And my passing grade was 70 over 100, even 50.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty hard. And then after I passed this pre-pharmacy and I became actually studying the core pharmacy course curriculum after 2 years. Hard because I used to live in an accommodation with a lot of students and they used to throw parties and student accommodation. And I had to really concentrate on heavy courses and I had to literally have modules requiring deep memorization and understanding, particularly in pharmacology, drug interaction, clinical applications. It was, and I decided to move to a private accommodation. So I stayed there for 1 year. And after that, COVID pandemic came and this destroyed everything. Honestly, all students liked it. Studying from home seemed like a relief. Yeah. But that changed quickly when exams started. So exams became harder because they wanted to prevent students from cheating and everything was different. We weren't attending classes. Imagine yourself at home in the comfort of your bed. You're not going to leave attend the course. And even if you did, you just go into the meeting and you just leave the phone next to you or the computer. So we passed all of that and I had to more effort. I doubled down my effort and I was determined to success. Yeah. I just wanted to finish. And in my final year, it was a bit interesting because in 2022, we almost came back to normal life. I had my last semester was at a hospital placement, rotating through departments, the ICU, oncology, general medicine. And I started to apply my knowledge and I started to analyze like real life cases, not cases given to you on paper, just to test your knowledge. It was really, and believe it or not, we found lots of errors as students in the treatment algorithms because fresh starters, we know the latest treatment algorithm, whether it was for the ADA guidelines, say it's the American Diabetes Association, it was released in 2022 and 21, sorry. It was the latest one back then. So we know metformin was the first line treatment. No, it's not. So all changes. And I think that most of the doctors, they are not always up to date. That this is something that we should focus on.
It's an amazing point you make there, Charbel, around learning and acquiring that knowledge and applying yourself during the time of a pandemic. I'm wondering, as probably many of our listeners are, what you did with that pharmacy degree and at what point you decided that you wanted to travel overseas and come to the UK.
After, I found two jobs, one as an assistant pharmacist and one as a pharmacy manager. I worked as a pharmacy manager for like almost a year. But later, I decided that, no, this is not what I want, honestly, because being at a pharmacy, it will just keep you in your place. You won't grow because pharmacy is a drugstore. You require a lot of skills. You have to have knowledge, good communication skills. You have to know how to upsell. Thing is, I always wanted not to stay at the pharmacy and have my own pharmacy. So I had this thought that I should move on. So first I decided to move abroad. The UK wasn't on my list. I wanted to go to France first. I did the French language test, and I didn't succeed, knowing that my French is so good.
That was what I was going to say. I mean, I know, having got to know you, that you speak multiple languages, and I think you speak them at a very high level. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, in Lebanon, we know Arabic is our first language, but our second language is not English, it is French. All of our courses, since you joined school, kindergarten, everything is in French. We focus on teaching, we know French. We even use French in our daily conversation. But I failed the test because I was out of the subject. They asked me about a specific, remember the full topic, but it was about something called, I'm going to say, Restaurant Fantôme, which is ghost restaurant. And I was elaborating about it, but I think that the main point of giving such a test is to test if it's French or not. If I was talking to a person, I could have asked, clarify, what is this word? But it was on paper. So anyway, I failed and I was like, okay, I can't apply to universities if I didn't have this test. And it was already too late. So my sister, she told me, so I thought you applied to the UK. I thought, to the UK? I mean, look, France is so common. Like, students are known in Lebanon. You go to France after you finish. If you want to go abroad, you go to either France or Belgium. Not a lot of people come to the UK because, first of all, it's more expensive. Second of all, it's the language. It's not hard. We are French-based. So we know French is our only countries. France is the only country that if you want to continue your PhD, you go to France. Anyway, I passed the SAT test and I applied for the visa. But before applying to the visa, you have to get a CAS number. Like you have to apply for the uni. I had to accept you. I was going to Sunderland.
Have you been to Sunderland? Do you know what Sunderland's like?
No, but I'm glad that I didn't go there.
I think it's probably.
I know a lot of students from there, and they all told me the same thing. Thank God you didn't come here because the weather is harsh, it's far, cold, it's different. So I got refused for the visa on the first time. I got a visa refusal because I failed to submit additional papers that I was required to submit API. But the thing is, it wasn't my fault. They asked for documents and paperwork in Lebanon takes more than 10 working days. It's Lebanon. I couldn't say anything. I just got refused. So I had two options. I had to change my course because Sunderland, they don't give January intake in this particular course, or apply for different universities that give this course as a January intake. And this is what I did. I applied for University of Greenwich. I applied for Nottingham, Trent, and the University of Surrey, and I was accepted in all three. But I chose Greenwich because I liked the building. As simple as that. I'm going to be honest. I saw the building, the architecture. I was like, okay, I'm going to this university. This is it.
So this is that beautiful building at the front of the Medway campus, right?
Yeah.
Or are we?
Not in Greenwich. I thought that I'm going to be there.
Yeah, that'll be the one. That'll be the one that drew people in.
Yeah, exactly.
With the lovely view of Canary Wharf.
Yeah. So coming to the UK was a culture shock to me.
Tell me what the challenges you experienced when you first landed.
Everything felt new and unfamiliar. Everything. Starting with the train system. We don't have train systems in Lebanon. So I didn't have a card. You have to tap everything. Cash with me. So it was completely... Switching to speaking English full time was mentally overwhelming because I know English, we use it, but speaking English all the time is different. Sometimes I avoided conversations because, especially when my mind was burdened with a lot of stuff going on inside my head, I couldn't put any effort in just trying to, because when you want to speak a different language, your mind will go, okay, I need to find that particular word that you're thinking about in your own language and try to find the equivalence in the other language. And this is where you feel like your brain is literally burning, and especially when you want to use it to have a conversation, not just you think about it. At the moment, because I'm not using a lot of French, I can write French very well, but I can't think in French. I need time to practice speaking the language because my mind now is focused on either English or Arabic. And I passed this period where I'm translating from Arabic to English because I've been here for 1.5 years and it was completely fine. But back then it was just a challenge.
I must compliment you. I think I said it the first time I met you. Your English is outstanding. It's crystal clear. I'm sure anyone listening and watching this will really be amazed to know that you speak as many languages as you do with such competence. But I think the difficulty for anyone when living in a new country is really integrating into that culture, isn't it? Whatever that might look and feel like for you. But, you bring your traditions from home, you bring your lifestyle, all those things to bear in a country where it's very, very different. And I know that the different parts of the UK can be very different. Never mind, you come into a city like London and the surrounding areas, the Medway campus. It's very different, isn't it? It must be very, very different for you.
It is different. Yeah, you have to go somewhere. You have to bring your tradition with you, but you have to integrate. In my opinion, coming to the UK and just acting like a normal Lebanese is not interesting. Seriously, you have to just integrate, see what they're doing. Okay, I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow, acquire. I'm not going to stay the same. Okay. So in Lebanon, we don't have we do, but not a lot of traffic lights. So sometimes you have to cross roads. Just look to the right and look to the left and you just cross. Here, even if there was no cars, I'd rather press the button, wait until the passenger and just like walk the street, cross the street.
That's brilliant. Where I live in a little rural village. We don't have any traffic lights. So if you don't look left and you don't look right, you might get run down by a lawnmower or a tractor. There's lots of tractors around us at the moment, particularly with the hay on the fields at the moment. It's really funny that you make that particular point. So that sounds like actually you quite like it, right? You quite like the difference
like it.
and you're embracing the difference.
Honestly, sometimes I used to be on a call with my sister or mother and I used to look and I go to the traffic light and I press the button and the button goes green and I just literally cross through. And my mother used to say, this is how people supposed to do. This is what advanced countries are like. You know, it was this simple and basic thing was something for us, you know, in my country.
I love the fact that you think that is a good thing. It makes me laugh. We love rules in this country, don't we? I mean, in the UK, we love rules.
Rules are good. Rules are good. I like that.
I like rules, but I'm not sure I like all the rules. That's another conversation for another day, but it is a very rules-based country, isn't it? I would say probably.
I want to mention something about living abroad. When I was in Lebanon, I used to live on my own because I had to go to Beirut because I had to live there. My mother used to prepare food to me and wash my clothes every weekend because I used to go to my village. So here, when I first came here, I had to become my own mother. So this was really difficult. I had to take full responsibility for every aspect of life. Literally, I had to cook, I had to clean, I had to go and buy groceries, I had to go to uni, and I had to study as well. So it was a lot. It was literally a lot to do, but I made it through and I'm happy.
That's hilarious because my kids both say the same. As you know, I've got two children, a son and a daughter, who are both at university, and they say the same. And when they come home to my wife and I, they're like, that's why they sleep for a week, because of all the things they have to do, not just turn up for lectures. And I said, we said to them both, we're like, but this is how the real world is, right? But until you're thrown into that real world, you don't really know that there's a life outside of getting your washing done, getting food on the table, clean plates, clean knives and forks.
I had never imagined myself going to a specific store to buy something just because it was 20p cheaper or 50 or a pound. This is what our parents are. And we don't know that because we don't do it when we lived with them.
It's an amazing point you make there. And for all those university students and newly qualified students that I'm sure will be tuning into this, they need to be reminded of that. So thank you for reminding them, Charbel. So talking now about the University of Greenwich, as you know, and the reason we came to contact and come into contact with one another was around the employability service and around the University of Greenwich and how they try to support students, not just through their experiences at the university, but above and beyond and outside when they're working and trying to seek new work. How's your experience been of the University of Greenwich and the employability service?
Well, honestly, I went there a couple of times. They were so nice. They offered to edit my CV and they gave me advice about how to edit my CV in a way that sometimes you have to use keywords and some arrangement of subtitles in the CV. You have to mention your skills. You have to mention your past experience. So yeah, they did give me a lot of ideas about this topic, but I should have stayed a bit longer and gave this topic a longer time. I couldn't because I was overwhelmed with university studies and courseworks. And the most important thing is my research thesis, which took a lot of time. Yeah, and overall, they were so nice.
And that's been my experience. I mean, it's the reason I keep coming back. And I know we've met plenty of times on the campus at Medway. They always give me some space where I can meet with students, but also do my own work as well. it seems to be a very welcoming environment, not just for students, but for visitors of the sites and the campus. It's a very well-run organization, and I'm not selling their services, but it's very different to the experience I had 30 years ago when I left the university. Nevertheless, I can see how it's trying to prepare students for life outside of university.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving forward now, what's the future looking like for you? We talked about your background in pharmacy, trying to secure a role. If I were to give you a wish, what would that wish be? What would the ideal role for you look like in the future? And where would it be?
In the meantime, applying for entry-level pharmaceuticals job through LinkedIn and company websites. But because I know that you have to start, I just want to start somewhere. But we should always focus on growing. So I'm available any position that will help me grow and acquire new knowledge, information, anything. Because I literally have only academic-based skills. I know analytical techniques. I know about quality control and quality assurance. I know about how to analyze data from techniques like HPLC or whatever, NMR, DLS. I know all of these, but I need to start having experience in a company where everything is more not only academic.
Absolutely. And I think the hardest thing, as I said to you before, is getting your first foot in the door, isn't it? I remember applying for hundreds and hundreds of entry-level roles when I first left university. And I think it isn't any easier with ChatGPT and various other tools, because not only can you adapt your applications using those, as I understand it, they're being filtered through tools to filter out what looks like computer-generated CVs. We've worked on your CV together. It's excellent. And I hope it will bring you something close to what you're looking for. The additional conversations that you and I have had around those types of entry roles remind me a lot about where I think your skills are particularly well suited. And we talked about early phase clinical trial units, where there are multitudes of different roles, and there is an opportunity to do like carousel type learning, where you can go from one function to another. There's labs, there's monitoring, there's bedside bloods being taken, there's pharmacy, and it's all under one roof. So there are many opportunities to do that.
You know, I think it's a plus for a person to be. A lot of my colleagues at uni, they used to have bachelor degrees in chemistry, and they came to do pharmaceutical sciences or biology or whatever backgrounds. Me having the academic knowledge and pharmacology knowledge related to pharmacy is a very big plus to this role, because I remember very well, I'm a fresh grad, so I had about 3 courses where I already knew of a bit more than half what they're talking about. Whereas my friends used to struggle a bit because they were new. They never took pharmacology before. They don't know what interaction is. They don't know receptors. I mean, it is true. It is really true.
I think you're very well set. And further to that point, there are plenty of roles that I can think of that I've worked alongside with people who've had far less experience and far less capabilities than you have. So I'm very hopeful that you will be able to secure something meaningful in the very near term. So this is that opportunity for you to entirely sell yourself to our audience and our listeners.
Things are challenging, but I'm in transition period, applying, learning, growing. It's all just glamorous, but it is real. I know that every step, no matter how small it is, it's just making progress. I'm proud of how far I've come, and I'm optimistic about what's going to come next.
And you should be, absolutely should be, because as I said,
I always say that to myself.
I think you've not only got the academic skills, but you're a really good guy. You know, you're a good guy. You're consistent in your behaviors. You show up, and you've demonstrated that in all the time that I've known you. So I think this has been wonderful. And I hope this forms that platform for you to secure something meaningful. It will enable you to share this on LinkedIn and various other platforms. and we'll clip
I
it
mean,
up and you can share it wherever you want to.
one more thing I would like to say, since we might have a lot of audience, hiring fresh graduates should be seen as an opportunity for the companies, because new grads bring energy, they bring adaptability to the company, they have a hunger to learn, if you want to say it. So just want to know, absorb. Companies might have the chance to shape young professionals in a way that fits their values and culture. Not just like, sorry, I'm going to be offensive to senior people, but sorry, senior employees may be set in their ways. Fresh grads are open to innovation, eager to contribute. They just, because senior people will just come and say, okay, this is how I do it. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. But like fresh grads, you can teach them whatever you want.
You're malleable, you want to learn, you're keen to hit the ground running. I was only recording a podcast earlier today where we made this exact point, which is the problem with clinical research is the old way. It's the way we've always done it. What we actually need to do is throw away the rule book, start all over again, build from the ground up with technology, with highly qualified minds, but also just not coming to the discussion with your predetermined, this is how we've always done it approach. It's a point that you've made, that other people have made, and I've come from a couple of conferences recently where similar things have been mentioned. This has been a wonderful opportunity for our audience, hopefully to get to know you better, Charbel. I always like to finish with a quick fire round. And the first question of that is, what is the one piece of advice you would give to your slightly younger self? Because you're already quite a young chap.
Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. Don't put a lot of pressure, because sometimes you worry about things that you should not worry about. Sometimes you just see yourself as, this is why the person grow, always see that I need more. But see myself 5, maybe 9 years ago, before I finished because my pharmacy degree took 6 years, 7 years ago, I'll tell myself that I could have done something related to the field. Yeah, if I already know that I'm going to end up in pharmaceutical industry, related to the field with less pressure.
Great point. What are the 3 qualities you most value in others?
Or can you clarify your question, please?
What are the 3 qualities you most value in others?
I like strong personalities. I like someone like to talk, to have conversation, connections. I have knowledge. If I want to just start a conversation with you, I like to have debates. No, I think this is more right than I like these scientific battles, if you want to say it. And the last thing is to be a good person, to just be genuine all the time.
I absolutely echo that last one, by the way. Hopefully I demonstrate that sometimes as well. What is the favorite thing you enjoy? What is the favorite thing you enjoy outside of work?
I've always wanted to become a chef. I like cooking. I have a very deep passion for food, especially desserts. So I think sometimes I think I can connect what I like to do, pharmaceutical. Why I want to go to pharmaceutical industry, because it's cooking. It's cooking medication. You have mixed chemicals together, and you with a final product that is going to be given to a person. So it's the same. Seriously, I might in the future explore that path more seriously. I've considered studying this where they teach you how to do a lot of weights. I've followed them, so I've seen a lot of great chefs graduating from that institution. So yeah, I believe one day I'll open my own restaurant. You don't know that.
I'm just reminded as you were saying that. Are you aware of a guy called Heston Blumenthal? He's a UK chef, but does kind of what you're suggesting. It's like a fusion between chemistry and food. That's exactly what he does.
Yeah. I've heard of him.
Yeah. That's what you reminded me of when you said that. And finally, what is your number one golden rule for life and for business?
Be honest all the time. I always say something. If you want to do something, do it. Like finish it, not just do it because you want to do it, or do it to just a box that I did it.
Very good.
Well, I mean, if you have a task to do, I'd rather do it completely, fully as I wanted, as I expect someone to do something for me, rather than just ticking a box. I'd rather say, no, I don't want to do it. If I don't feel like doing it, I'd rather.
Charbel, it's been an absolute delight talking to you today. We touched on your background in pharmacy and what brought you into the UK and ultimately learning at the University of Greenwich. And thankfully, the fact that we got to know one another and that we've continued to stay in contact. For any of our listeners that want to reach out to you and hopefully offer you that first role in clinical research, what's the best way they can get hold of you, Charbel?
Excuse me, well, the line was...
What's the best way that our audience can get hold of you if they want to give you your first role in clinical research?
They just offer it, as you can find out when you offer it.
So should they reach out to you on LinkedIn? Is that the best place to make contact with you?
Yeah, of course. I'm always active on LinkedIn. You can find my contact details there, my personal email, my phone number, and I'm available to relocate anywhere in the UK. I'm now a resident in Maidstone, but I can go anywhere in the UK, including Scotland, even farther.
Thank you so much for taking the time today. In addition to that, I will say if anyone wants to make contact with you, of course, they can direct message me through my LinkedIn profile and through the podcast. It's been an absolute delight today to welcome you onto Pharma Prescribed. And thank you so much for being here, Charbel.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me here.